This build started out with some old tractor tyres. After playing for about an hour, we cut the sidewalls out, jammed some old wheels in. Then used a broken mower for the gearbox and raided the strap bin for some parts and started making the hubs to suit the mower gearbox. Then I tack welded a frame together using some 25x25 box section. 3mm plate to mount the engine to. I set up some brakes and some levers. My daughter has the first test drive.
Push the button.
Cut and fold 2mm plate for the bodywork, make a roof and some perspex panels, also some aluminium for the top of the cab. A test drive revealed some problems with the rear dragging and jamming up the throttle cable. After putting a plate under the rear, it's starting to work heaps better. Everything's working, the tracks aren't coming off as well. Then time for a paint job, then disaster strikes. While driving around off camera, the axle snaps. But I was still motivated. I got another gearbox. The original gearbox was really hard to shift gears. The new one is a hydrostatic, but it's broken, so I pulled it apart to repair it.
Pull off first. That's lucky. Aha! This is how it works. This spins, pumps oil out here to this side. It's on like a swash plate system, so it pushes the pistons, depending what side it's on. The pistons are still nice and tight in here. I think the problem is this here is slightly worn. What we could do is wet and dry sandpaper that. So this is how the guy did it. Just got some wet and dry sandpaper. I got 800 grit here, put some water on it, get this thing, put it on there, and rubby for ages. A very faint line. I think that's probably something like that could be all it is, the oil bypassing. So I have to keep sanding till that's gone, I guess. So both of those surfaces have been done now. They're much better. Also do these surfaces, just do it the same way but with the sandpaper the other way up. Put it back together and see if it works.
But after all of that, it didn't work. Then recently, I was playing around with it and it started working. It must have had an airlock on the little pistons in the gearbox.
That's how it works, but you got to make sure that this lever's across, because that must be a neutral.
So I install a forward and reverse pedal and make a connecting rod.
There's my rod. Let's see if it fits. I think that'll be forward and reverse.
Cut some of the tread off the rear tyres to stop the tracks from walking off. Putting the tracks on is pretty difficult, and then I have to take them back off again in a minute anyway.
Cool. I've got a funny feeling I've blown the transaxle. She's not moving anywhere now.
It didn't blow, it just sheared the key. So I welded the axles to the hubs. threw the belt off. Then it threw the belt off again. I've taken this pulley off and I'm going to replace it with this one. I remembered I've actually machined this one out to suit that belt previously, so this one should work much better. It was off the old gearbox. This thing is fighting me every step of the way. Now this little lever here is jumping out every time I put it into forward, so I've got to fix that. It's constantly raining. It's actually never been not raining when I've been working on this thing. Just man, drill. Finally. Now try and move. Making me suffer. Stupid little tank. Soaking wet. Can't even push it back to the shed because of the tracks. I need you to go, tank. You better go now. It's starting to work finally, yay. More stuff I've got to do is I want to make another mount here for the transmission before I start driving it too rough. And also this pedal is annoying how it slips like this. I need to space these apart somehow, so let's do those things. Alright, I'm making that extra transmission mount. And this company EcoFlow sent me this little power bank. I'm going to do a full video on it soon. But how is that possible? Can run the grinder like that. So it's pulling about 350 watts when it's not cutting. I wasn't watching when it was cutting. And we're charging by the sun as well. So we're getting back 38 watts, which is great because there is no sun today. What? No way. I doubt it will weld, but let's try. I can weld with about 30 amps. Okay, it tripped out. How was that even possible? This is only the low power model too. Okay, at 20 amps it doesn't trip out. Okay, I've tacked 2 bits of steel together with that battery pack. Pretty crazy. Goes pretty sweet, but it's super loud, and also the exhaust pipes are hooking on the ground, so I'm going to change the mufflers. I got this big boy off a diesel ute from work out of the scrap bin, so I'll try and make this thing work. Alright, I got a lot of the packing out. That was pretty easy.
Alright, that fitted pretty well. I'm in a hurry though. I'm trying to go for a test drive. So it's blowing out all the old diesel soot out that side. Need to give it a bit of a run. Ooh, bit of soot in the coffee. We've got a bit of an issue here. We've got oil everywhere, and I just dropped the breather inside there that I put on. I think the belt's slipping too because the oil's going all over it. I'm not sure where the leak is, but I need to fix it. Pushed on this brake lever and popped it out. The little tank is nearly there, man. It's so close. The muffler works good actually. It was a lot more quieter. You probably couldn't tell on the camera, and it's out of the way, but I might make it a little bit more quieter. Maybe I'll block off one side, because the exhaust's coming up through the side, through the baffle, and then out both sides. So if I block off one side, it'll be quieter, but it's out of the way now, which is great. It's just the oil spilling out of there. I think it's just the breather, so I'll probably sort that out. A few other little bits and pieces, and she's going to be a machine. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.